This episode is brought to you by Pro Kettlebell, the only competition kettlebell made in the USA. They're changing the game with two sizes of their patented kettlebell shape that is designed with anatomical cutaways that distribute the weight more evenly on lifter's forearm for faster snatches, crisper cleans, and more comfortable rack position on jerks. Plus, their wide base makes it more stable for push-ups, planks, and rows. And they are also designed for their level-up magnetic chip weights to fit perfectly inside, allowing you to incrementally add 1 or 2 kilos to your bells so that you can keep progressing safely without changing the physics on your ballistic lifts and saving a ton of space in your garage. Click the link in the episode notes or go to prokettlebell.com to shop now, and don't forget to use code TCKB10 to get 10% off your order. Welcome to the Platform Podcast, where we talk to coaches, athletes, experts, and real people to learn about their approaches to training, nutrition, mindset, and much more. I'm your host, Jordan Kundi Wright, founder and head coach of the Twin Cities Kettlebell Club, and our mission is to become our best selves through sport. Today, I'm joined by Amber and Nikolai Puchlov, the creative team behind Pro Kettlebell. They've been at the center of some of the biggest innovations in our sport, especially in the recent design and production of their Pro Kettlebell competition kettlebells. In this episode, we dig into the challenges they face turning an idea into a finished product, the obstacles of manufacturing and distribution, and the validation of seeing athletes from all over the world embrace their bells. They also share how those experiences shape their vision for the future kettlebell sport and what it will take for the sport to grow here in the US and beyond. This one's packed with insights, whether you're chasing a lifting PR, a coach trying to build something meaningful, or just someone who loves hearing about resilience and innovation in action. So, without further ado, let's step onto the platform with Amber and Nikolai Puchlov of Pro Kettlebell. All right, welcome into this week's episode of the Platform Podcast. I am your host, Jordan Kundi Wright, and I am joined today by two very special guests, my friends Nikolai and Amber Puchlov, the founders of Pro Kettlebell. How is the registration coming for the All-American Kettlebell Open?
Oh, it's good. We already have as many people signed up as we had total last, so it's going to be bigger than last year. I don't know the exact number, but I think it's 80 something people signed up right now. So it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty sure we're going to break 100 this year. So that'll be kind of the milestone.
That is awesome. And if I remember right, there's a fairly sizable prize on the line that goes to the team that represents best at this competition, and it ties into the Pro Kettlebell brand.
So the top team, the team that wins it all, they get a full set of Pro Kettlebells. We did change how we judge who wins the team this year a little bit. Amber, if you want to tell them.
Okay, so before we were using the IKO point system just for best team, but just to give more opportunity and make it even more fair, I guess, we split it up. So you can basically earn points in 4 areas. So you get points for the team that lifts the most weight total, right? So there's total volume.
Total tonnage, love it.
Yep, I love those 4 categories. There's the snatch relay that we will do at the end of the competition. So which team wins the snatch relay. There are most letter ranks between your lifters. So professional ranks. So Master Sport and MSIC, right?
The ones that get you a letter. I understand what you meant.
And I was trying to think of the 4th one.
The best dress.
Oh, best dress. That's right.
Oh,
Best uniforms.
man.
Best uniforms. Yep.
Okay, best uniforms.
How could I have forgot that? Of course.
Because we're really hoping for some American Gladiators style uniforms. This go around or
Blade, laser, blazer. Everybody all decked out. I love it. Now, what's the date for the people that are listening? What's the date? What do they got to do to sign up? Where's it at? Give us the rundown.
October 11th and the 12th. It'll be at the Tropicana in Atlantic City, and it's it's hosted by the Mr. America Bodybuilding and Fitness
Expo.
And so they can sign up on our website. That's probably the easiest thing, prokettlebell.com.
Nice. Love it. Love it. That's fantastic. Well, congratulations on another big year of registrations. That's awesome. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I try and give you guys as much space as I can with the Twin Cities Kettlebell Open, because trying to make sure that there's all sorts of options for people from different parts of the country. Now, you're in Seattle, right? It's still on the complete left coast, and you're going all the way to the right coast. Why Atlantic City? Why'd you guys decide to do it there? Is it because of Mr. America?
So it goes back to when Dana Zorns reached out for sponsorship. This will be the third. The very first one, I didn't even know who Dana was, but he's like, hey, we're looking for sponsorship for this kettlebell competition that we're doing at the Mr. America. And I heard Mr. America, and I'm like, oh, wow, that sounds pretty big. He wanted money or, kettlebells, and we didn't have any money to give. We had hardly any kettlebells, as you kind of remember. And I was like, what I can do is like, we can help with the cost of the kettlebells. We can get you them at cost. And we can really help organize and put on the competition, because he'd never hosted a competition before.
He'd never even been to a
He'd never competed. He'd never been at a competition or anything.
I love that.
Yeah, he just wanted to do it. And I was like, well, I can see how we can help organizing and putting it on. We've got a lot of experience doing that. And so that's how it wound up, because it's just where the Mr. America was. And so we're like, yeah, we'll travel for this.
Love it. That's awesome. All right, so we jumped right into the event. I did that on purpose. We're Tarantinoing this one. We're going starting at the end, and then we're going to do flashbacks. So, Amber, you've never been on the podcast before. I had Nikolai on earlier. So why don't you guys tell everybody who you are, since I didn't give you the traditional intro. So, Amber, we'll start with you. Tell me a little bit about who you are to Pro Kettlebell and how you're involved in all this wonderful craziness that is this sport that we love so much.
Oh, man. Well, my name is Amber Puchlov. I'm married to this guy. We got married in 2012. Thank you. Starting our business together. So I became Nikolai's helper and number one fan, because he was just really breaking into his personal training business at the same time that we had our baby. And I was like, I'm not waiting tables anymore. How can I help you? So I have been in the role of saying, well, that's not a good idea, and then being proven wrong time after time after time for the last.
Well, it sounds like you really know how to motivate Nikolai. You just tell him he can't do something.
Exactly. I'm like, that won't work. And then he shows me. So I play that role. But no, actually, we're really good at coming up with ideas together. And then I implement a lot of them. So I work on the website and technical stuff and customer service emails and kind of behind the scenes stuff. And he is more of the face, I guess. So it's weird for me to be on the podcast and stuff. However, we're definitely 50-50. It reminds me of the first time that when we were teaching kettlebell classes, and he got too busy. There were too many classes. He's like, Amber, you have to teach. And I remember crying and saying no, there's no way I can't teach, And then now, I love teaching with classes was my favorite thing. When we ran Seattle Kettlebell Club, I was I loved teaching. I would rather do that than anything else. So yes, so I have fought and cried my way into loving every step of this, including I remember early wanting him to teach me how to jerk. He's like, nope, I'm not going to teach you how to jerk. And it was very early on. And so first there's thinking it's dumb. Then there's wanting to do it. And then there's teach me everything you know. And now I want to do it better than you. So then I get competitive with him and I try to beat him. And we have egged each other on and be really bonded over our love for this obscure sport. Who else? I don't know how many people have this opportunity to lay in bed at night and be talking about the nuances of your
podcast. Let's not go there. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who
Working
came?
on your swing.
We're working on your swing.
Lean
Talking
and go
about
to that
snatches and jerking,
working on
laying
the
in
old
bed and-
swing. Working on that jerk. Sorry.
So I gotta ask, whose idea was the Pro Kettlebell design? Who had the inspiration that was like, we got to do something different than what's currently out there?
He had it, but it's funny you brought that up because he just showed me a picture of one of our first sketches that he had on his phone the other day. And I swear I drew it and he says that he drew it and we both can't remember. But it was definitely his idea.
So what problem were you guys trying to solve? When did you start from inception? Like it was a brainchild to, okay, it's a design on paper to, are we going to actually do this? Like what was the origin story of the Pro Kettlebell brand and the journey there?
We had Seattle Kettlebell Club, right? And we would always bring people in to the club. One of the ways that we would kind of onboard or recruit new members was to, give them like a free intro or, kind of a one-off trial.
The first one's free. It's the old
Yeah,
drug
first
dealer
one's
move. The first one's
free.
free.
And like the common problem with everybody who was new was they'd always go, is it supposed to feel like this? Is it
Banging the
supposed to
rest.
feel like this?
Yeah.
And, you would say, oh, you'll get used to it. Our keep rate was not great. And so we started with cast iron kettlebells in the very beginning. And then we switched to the competition style kettlebells, which was better. And then we had a large team as well. And even people, that were really well seasoned, myself included, we would, with training a lot, thousands and thousands of repetitions, you'd wind up with a callus. And so,
Or every time you
old
kind
kettle
of
bump.
like,
a bone.
and you'd bump up in weight and you'd be like, okay, well, I'm training for 16 kilo, but I have a couple of sets with 18 and 20. And it's like, I remember that anytime you bump up to that next level of weight that you're not used to, that you're not conditioned to, bam, like bruising, shoot, now I'm out. I got to wait for another, you miss your next workout because it's too tender. And so that kept slowing down our training progress.
There was one gal named Lyra, and she was great. I mean, she was young. She was in high school when she started. She had impeccable form, but she was smaller in stature, and she got a bone bruise, and she really was unable to train for quite a period of time. She had to use a hockey style or lacrosse style wrist guard to protect that bone while she was training. And it was just, I think it was pretty common. Valerie Fedorenko knew this back in the day when he came out with his kettlebell that had the flat spots on it. And we watched all the competitors, right? We would be looking at Kostov and Dedukania, all of the world-class athletes. They had this giant goose egg. And in my mind, I go, it doesn't need to be like that. So I was always thinking, if we have the time, if we have the money, we're going to fix this. We're going to do something better. It's going to help people be able to, use kettlebells and not get deterred. This is going to help out the athletes, because if you're recovering from tissue damage on your arm, what is your body redirecting its efforts towards? It's redirecting towards this instead of muscle growth, instead of recovery. It's not repairing your nervous system. And then in some cases, like in the case of in BJ Bliffer and some other athletes, that'll get infected.
Yeah,
And
Levi
this is like
Marquardt had to get surgery on I think he had cellulitis on a kettle bump or something that
Yeah,
he had surgery on.
It's just like, it's unacceptable to me and to a lot of people who are coming. They have a regular job, they have a family. They don't want to go to the gym and get MRSA or get like a staph infection or a giant lump on the back of their forearm, look like they've been like fighting handcuffs or something like that. So that's what drove us to it. We didn't have time.
We were, a class-based gym. eventually we acquired this massive athletes, but most of our demographic were in their 40s and 50s. And we had a lot of ladies in their 50s and 60s. Like those are the women coming in.
This
to
whole
the
get
gym.
hard, the whole get hard attitude, like the people who say that don't train clients and they don't have gyms.
Yeah, they don't.
Like
They,
it just,
The sport's hard enough the way it is, right? Like it's already you're gonna suffer even with a really comfortable bell. Like when you get into the serious kettlebell sport training, like you better get comfortable being uncomfortable. But like you don't need a discomfort on your
Extra.
wrist, right? Like
there's enough barriers to working out in the first place. Yeah. And especially with kettlebells, it's like, it's challenging enough as it is without the added discomfort. But the real catalyst for us was COVID, right? The gyms were all shut down, ours included.
we had about 250 like monthly members, and then there were over 1,000 people that were drop in and punch card and that. But I mean, we at that point we had just really hit like, okay, all of our classes are full. We are on waiting lists. We're finally paying our bills. Like it took, we started in 2012. It took until January of 2020 to actually get like where we really were trying to get.
We were
like
like,
you're finally there.
We
were
You
paying
got
our
you got a
bills.
sustainable model.
Yeah.
We're in the black. Like we're profitable.
Yeah.
We can actually
Yeah.
keep the lights on. It's not tooth and nail, month in and month out.
it took a solid like 5 years for us to grow our membership base and dial things in to where, it was in the black and it was growing. And we saw like, okay, things are going really well. And then COVID shut everything down. It really had to make us modify our business model because we could only have like 5 people in at a time based off of our square footage.
Oh,
And we
what
started
was your square footage? Like 1,000, 1,500?
3,500.
Oh, 3,500. Okay. Oh, your first location was smaller, and then you guys moved to a bigger one. That's right.
We were closed for 3 months with
Hey,
no
we're Tarantinoing
nobody
this
coming
one. There's no.
Yeah,
we're in the-
we closed we had a noon class on Monday, March 15th, 2020. That was our last class. And by Saturday, like I stayed up for 3 days straight building ProKettlebell.com. And by Saturday, we had our first like video classes filmed and online for our customers, for our our members, sorry. And
But-
we had already started.
But I knew Pro Kettlebell was going to be a thing
We'd already
before
announced
COVID
it.
because we were going to expand Seattle Kettlebell Club. But I didn't know, but I had a feeling that like Seattle Kettlebell Club is like a brand, wouldn't translate well on the East Coast or anything like that. So we wanted to expand what we were doing. We were going to call it Pro Kettlebell. And so COVID happened and we were like, well, we already have this Pro Kettlebell brand that we've started creating. We started creating videos for it even before COVID. And then when that hit, Amber spent 3 days building out a website and putting basically a platform together for us to put our classes online.
But he said that week, like anytime something like seems really bad out of the blue, he has such a good attitude. And he's always like, it's a Christ opportunity. What's the Christ opportunity? And so the Christ opportunity, he was already like, hey, we have time to work on our kettlebell. And that was one of the times I was like, what? No, I'm trying to build a website. We're trying to do online classes. We're trying to, I don't have time to create a kettlebell. And so I kicked and screamed for a couple of days. And then he had called a member and asked if they could come up with a CAD, like reverse engineer a CAD based on the existing kettlebells we were using. And then like within a couple of weeks, we had an additional CAD designer and sketches. And it took about 9 months in 30 prototypes to create it.
The first CAD designer was a member. She just had very rudimentary skills. She kind of like did a mock-up that sort of looked like, well, it didn't look anything. It was basic. And then she's like, well, that's basically all I can do. Like, you reached my level of expertise. Found another CAD designer. He sort of took it to another level and then reached his limit. But we're like, that's not good enough. So we found another CAD designer. I don't know how many CAD designers total. We had 5 different CAD designers before we actually got to the model that's pretty close to what we have now. And
they came out in this, we were like meeting on the street in front of the gym because we still weren't supposed to have anybody inside or work with anybody, And so I remember him coming and he'd bring in our 3D printed prototypes that he'd be making. And, they took like 24 hours to print each one. And it was just like, he was getting tired of us. Every time you change something, like make the horns just like a 1/4 inch taller so that, the hand insertion can be a little bit deeper. Well, now that changed the angle of the curve and where that sits. So it went back and forth. And I remember that last time he brought in one and then we were fighting in the back room because Nikolai, remember you were like, at some point it's good enough. And I was like, still with the point. And that's when we decided to go ahead. He's like, yeah, you're right. Well, let's get a wood one CNC'd so that we can do the rest by hand. Because the CAD designers were like, you're asking for organic shapes and organic contours that we can't program this. At least the people we were talking to couldn't. So we printed we had a wood one prototype made and then we hand carved the contours.
What was Justin's design? Facture. Yeah, we worked with this company called Facture. They're a design firm, and they're pretty cool because they would do these modular 3D prints where you could disassemble this 3D printed kettlebell. You could take off the handle and put on a different size handle. You could switch out one of the faces to put on a face with slightly different angles and contours. And it was also loadable. So you could actually unscrew the bottom. And so we could actually load up some plates on the inside to sort of feel the weight. And it's crazy how you think it feels right. You're like, oh yeah, this feels really good. Then you put weight on it and you go, oh, that's actually, we get a hot spot here. His firm was they were really good at facilitating our kind of design process, which took a long time. But yeah, the final we're about 95% there. And then the final model, we had it cut from wood and we were like hand sanding. We got 1/4 of it that was like perfect. And we're like, okay, this is great. And then we took that 1/4, we had it scanned and then they duplicated it on all 4 sides to make the final CAD rendition, which was then turned into a pattern. And then the pattern basically goes and it gets pressed into the sand, creates your sand mold, hot metals poured inside, creates your casting. Now I'm breezing over all the failures and castings that have occurred and still occur.
So you went through 5 CAD designers. How many foundries have you worked with now in the course of your journey?
Wait,
5 or 6?
5? Well, yeah.
We must be on 6. I think we're on 6. There was Travis Ironworks, Dakota Foundry, Total Alloy Foundry, Faircast, and now we're on Great Lakes.
Okay, 5.
And then,
but now we're going on to our 6th.
New Iron will be 6.
And tell us about New Iron.
So New Iron, sometimes I think that I manifest this shit, but I've always said that like I want to own the manufacturing side of it. Probably if things just went right from day one, probably we would just stick with that. We would stick with the current manufacturers and we would just never do it ourselves. But because we've had so much supply problems, we're going to open our own factory. We're going to start small scale, artisanal, small furnace, small iron furnace, like 1/3 of a ton, and make our own mat. We've already got our patterns. We're going to make our own molds, pour our iron, do the finishing, do the fulfillment. We're going to do that in-house. We're going to phase it in. Our sales are, like we're probably planning on doing, a handful a day in the beginning while we ramp up production. But long term, we want to own 100% all the manufacturing, and we want to be the best. The issues that we have in the United States with manufacturing and the antiquated system where it's so expensive and difficult for a small guy to come in with a product idea and take it from concept to fulfillment is so over the top ridiculous, but it doesn't have to be that way. We want to bring back the service aspect with all the technology that we have coming through with AI, CAD, and 3D printing. We can not only make our kettlebells very efficiently and effectively, but I hope to help other people do the same thing.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. Well, it sounds like a big part of this is your guys' refusal to compromise on quality. How would you guys describe what your core values are as a company for Pro Kettlebell?
God first. So we put that above and beyond everything. Our guiding principle is like, are we putting our whole heart into it? Is it ethical? Is it the best we can do? Is this good for our families? Is this good for our friends? We're both perfectionists, but we just want everything we do to be the best we can possibly do. And I think we're never satisfied with anything, and it can always be better. So that's just the way we've always been. We met at Tutabella Neapolitan Pizzeria. I was the manager at Tutabella Neapolitan Pizzeria, and I was the beverage manager, right? And I head up the espresso program. And part of that was like, I traveled to Italy to learn how to make espresso in the true Italian fashion with a lever operated espresso machine, sourcing the beans from Italy themselves. And, I trained Amber on that. And then, she actually became better at me than making coffee. And I think it just, I don't know, the way I grew up was like, if you're going to do anything, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're digging ditches, you want it to be the best, right? You don't want to, I think it's a reflection of who you are. And so,
Yeah, I was just trying to pass that lesson on to my son. The way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? If you're going to do it to the best of your ability.
I also feel like it feels unreasonable sometimes to put the expectations that I have for myself on other people, which is why I like to have things in house and be able to do it myself. Cause I think when you call someone like, no, it has to be absolutely perfect. And they're like, okay, you're one of a million clients we have. Why is yours more important than everybody else's? I'm like, I get that. Let's just do it ourselves. I just want to put everything I hate knowing that it's possible to do something better and then not do it.
one thing we run into is in the industry here, everybody refers to our kettlebells as parts. How many parts are you going to order? When they talk about like purchase orders or having them finished or whatever, to us, they're not parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, it's a piece of art. It takes the P out of part, and that's what you have, right? We're not just making kettlebells. We're making like a piece of art, and each little, I feel like I don't love them as much as my kids, but like I definitely,
it's a close second.
we have that personal attachment to them. And honestly, if someone doesn't like it, I'm deeply offended.
That means you put your heart and soul into it, right? It feels like not a rejection of something that you created. It feels almost like a rejection of you, right? When you put that much time, effort, love, energy, blood, sweat, tears, money, all of those things, right? Like you've poured so much into it. When somebody's like, yeah, it's not for me, you're like, that feels very personal.
Trying to get over that, but
yeah. I mean, that's because to them, it might just be a fitness tool, but for you, it's something that you guys have clearly poured a ton into. What's been like your best success that you've had? And I know you've had a lot of challenges that you've overcome and a lot that you're still working on, but what's been like the biggest highlight of this process for you guys?
Well,
I think there's a lot.
I'll go first.
First of all, there was a client of mine named Mike Silvesky when I was at Columbia City Fitness. That's where I first started personal training. And when I was going to leave Columbia City Fitness, Mike Silvesky told me, I've seen a lot of personal trainers come and go, and they try to go open their own gym, they fail, and they come back. And told me it was a bad idea. All right. So proving that guy wrong was one. And then when people said we couldn't do our own kettlebell, one particular person said, why don't you just make the same kettlebells as Kettlebell Kings and sell those? And that was like, why on earth would I do that? Why would I put any effort into something that's like the exact same as everything else. Like I want to do it better, right?
Why
It's also
play in a Led Zeppelin cover band?
difficult and fulfilling, and it helps people. I feel like the product that we make helps people. We have a hard day's work, and then at the end of the night, we sleep well because I feel like what we're doing is helpful to people, and it's a creative outlet. There's like a goal, there's a struggle, and then you overcome that goal. So it kind of hits all those little dopamine centers that at least
But not the cheap
me,
ones though, not the cheap, quick ones. Like you guys are going for the deep, real, like this is like, I have real struggle. I have to learn a new skill. You know, Nikolai, did you know anything about finishing kettlebells? Did you know anything about metallurgy or any of the things that you've had to learn for this? Amber, I don't know. Did you have web design skills before you got into this? Like how have you guys stretched yourselves because of this?
my dad was an iron worker when I was a kid growing up. He welded. I told him because he wanted me to get into the same industry. I said, that's not for me. I wouldn't consider myself handy until we actually opened up the gym and we had to do everything ourselves because we didn't have any money to pay builders to make it for us. I think a lot of people are actually good at a lot of different things. They just don't maybe believe in themselves that they can do it. But I guess I have to give credit to a couple people in my life, like Bull Stewart, the guy who taught me personal training, is my personal trainer. He kind of taught me that I never considered myself to be strong or anything like that, but he kind of taught me that if you just work at something consistently and you dedicate yourself to it, you can overcome pretty much anything. And that he said that would be transformational in my life. And he was actually really correct. Since then, if there's any sort of challenge, it's just like, you just got to attack it. And one day at a time, you just a little bit at a time, every single day. You never conquer a problem in one day. I see people bounce from thing to thing to thing. They go from like say a training program, they're not getting the immediate success that they want on day, first week. Then they'll jump to somebody else's training program and then somebody else's training program. And they never make any progress. But if you stick with any one thing for long enough, you will get good at it. And you'll be like, not just good at it, you'll be like highly proficient and, an expert eventually. You just have to give it time. And Amber she's also like, she makes up in all the ways where I lack. So it's good to have a partner that's like, she's super computer savvy. I'm not. So I don't know. We help each other out in ways where I think maybe other people don't have that same advantage too.
Yeah. Amber, how about you? What are some of the challenges that you guys have handled and overcome? Like I know you said that he views everything as an opportunity, which is great, but it sounds like you feel the challenge of it and then you guys kind of put your heads down together and figure out how to do it. Like, what are some of those challenges that you're proud of that you guys have kind of overcome together?
I mean, Jordan, like every single step of this process has been a challenge. Like there's literally been nothing that was easy. It's hard to, like, every day has been challenging, but I'm not going to answer your question exactly because I have to back up to answer the earlier question and then I'll come for full circle. But when you said like getting to the proudest moments, like what are your proud moments and why, like what drives you to do that kind of thing. So I just have a very strong turning point in the 6th grade when I was in this after school program. It was called Odyssey of the Mind, and it was a competitive club where you would go and have competitions with the clubs from other schools, and they give you creative problems to solve. And I loved this, but every time I had a suggestion and I was like, we would totally win if we do this, everyone was always saying like, that's too complicated. Your idea is too big. Like your idea is too hard. We could never do that. So that really got to me like that. I think it's just one of those things that sticks with you. And so to have that come up then in life as an adult where it was like, no, this is too hard. It is just the opportunity to redeem myself from my 6th grade person getting put down. So the one of the big moments that I had was, we did this because we wanted to increase conversion for our club members so that more people would join and be able to do kettlebell workouts and enjoy the benefits of kettlebells. And we didn't get to see that at the gym, right? But we've had all these experiences with competitions before and rooting for our team. And we loved the competitions and that teamwork and the camaraderie and having a team. And when I went to the first competition where people were using Pro Kettlebells that I had never met from teams all over different places, I could cry right now just thinking about reliving that moment and realizing that now I'm rooting for every team. I'm rooting for like every person that has a Pro Kettlebell in their gym and all these people everywhere. Like I'm the biggest fan of people I've never met. And to see that little bit of effect of your reach when you don't realize like we work so intimately as a company, like just a couple of us and at home, and it's all so private. And then so to have these like public moments where you see your Johnny Appleseeds kind of going, like that has been very motivating to get through other challenges.
Well, can I share a story with you? One of the first times I have my team of athletes, and one of the first times I worked with a woman who was all of 115 pounds soaking wet, right? So really strong, but not big, and really small frame, small wrists. The first time I handed her your smaller model and put it on, she was like, oh my God. She lit up. She was like, oh my God, this doesn't hurt. I can actually manage. And her snatch technique, she had like a 17% output increase in snatch.
I love that.
Because it fit, it wasn't over rotating her arm. It fit her frame. It was such a huge moment. I think I messaged you, Nikolai, when that happened. I was like, you guys are onto something here, especially with the two sizes, because you're the first people that made a smaller size kettlebell for people with smaller frames, because not everybody has big, monkey wrists like I do, right? Some people are smaller. Like we all come in different shapes and sizes. Like it's okay to have equipment that has a little bit of variance to it. I knew you guys were onto something the first time I put one of those small, I always get them crisscross. It's Atlas Atlas is the smaller one and Apollo is the bigger one. Okay.
Apollo is named after Adrian, our team captain who had passed away, and he's a big guy. So if you just remember that it's after Adrian, our big guy, that's the Apollo line.
That was such a cool moment for me. I was like, there's a gap in the market that's being filled like that. I was sold from that day.
Thank you for being an early adapter and being open-minded. My biggest challenge is handling seeing people, in Reddit or something like slamming it who've never touched one, like saying it's unnecessary or like whatever, pointing out the problems. And you're like, you have no idea.
The rigidity and dogma drives me crazy. And like, you run into that in tribes of all kinds, right? But especially in kettlebell, for whatever reason, people get their mindset fixed of, hard style is the only way, or kettlebell sport's the only way, or, it's got to be this spell or that. I'm like, no, come on. Like you said earlier, there's already enough barriers to being fit and healthy, especially in America, right? Like, let's widen the tent. Like, let's bring in as many people as we can into this. That part doesn't compute to me at all. Are you guys getting traction with getting your bells more adopted in some of the federations? I know like AKLU, we accept the Pro Kettlebells for our competitions because they meet, especially the Apollo meets the standards, right? Are you guys getting more acceptance of the shape and of the spec for competitions?
Yeah. In the US, and I mean, at least with most of the competitions that we go to, they're primarily IKO. And so we're going to be the official kettlebell, the IKO, starting January 2026.
Nice.
And we're going to sponsor his biggest events and put all our eggs into the IKO basket. And the reason being is I really like Dennis's philosophy on the sport. I love the IKO competitions. I believe there's already a strong base of clubs that are competing. He does a phenomenal job of traveling and going and being represented. It's very inclusive. It doesn't have a lot of that dogma that I see. And I mean, people just have a really good time. And I see that. I want to see that grow. And it's already international. We've been accepted. We've been used in Malaysia. We're one of the sponsors at the Malaysia competition coming up in August. So as far as other organizations, we love to be in all the organizations. We don't have anything against it, but like right now we're focused on IKO and we're the IKO sponsor and we're going to be promoting IKO.
I still feel like we're making traction. I mean, it went from, I wonder if Dennis will let us have the Apollo, to then it was like, okay, yeah, we're good with that. And then it was okay, and Atlas is good too. And okay, AKLU is okay with the Apollo. Like I do feel like we're making the appropriate progress.
Everybody's slow to change, and you just chip away at it. It gets critical mass, and suddenly, there we go.
The athletes actually ask us about it. The biggest barrier has been our distribution, but that's going to be solved here pretty quick. We have European distribution. Gregory Desmali from Liebe Stark.
Yeah.
He's going to be our EU distributor.
He gave you guys a great review on YouTube.
Yeah. No, he loves our stuff. And, it just came from me sending him a free sample, try it out, and he wound up loving it. Working on a Canadian distributor. I'll just say, and I've offered it to Carissa Severat because I think she'd make a great distributor. She uses our product in her gym. She already likes it. Not paying her anything. She just likes it. So
that's as
offering
good
that
of a
up to her.
testimonial as you can get right there, right? Like,
Yeah. And those are the types of people we like to work with, are just like, not paid people, just like people that like to use it. And so, having the bells accessible in Europe, Asia, Canada, and South America. I'm still working on South America. I have a guy in Australia that I'm talking to. So I think accessibility will drive it. And then listen, when you realize that your numbers go up because you can train more consistently without pain, that's the determining factor. And if a better kettlebell comes along that, like, then great. But right now ours is, you just look at the numbers, right? And the numbers speak for themselves.
I mean, my testimonial would be, put your hands on them. You want, like, that was always my thing. Like, hey, we'll do the Pepsi challenge at the Twin Cities Kettlebell Open, right? Come
Right.
I've got Kettlebell Kings. I had a full set of Kettlebell Kings before y'all ever existed. I haven't bought a Kettlebell Kings bell since. Like, I'll just put that out there. Like, I haven't bought a Kettlebell Kings kettlebell since you guys existed. I've only bought Pro Kettlebells. I have a full set, 8 kilos to 32 kilos on everything you guys make. Like, I let people choose for themselves. Like, hey, you want to compete on Kettlebell Kings because you like them better? Fine. But go put hands on the pros. And I tell you, the more often than not, people choose the pros. Most people do, right? Like, and that speaks volumes as far as I'm concerned, right? Like, it's, everybody's going to be different. Everybody has their preferences. If you're comfortable on the Kings or you're comfortable on, different bells, fine. But don't knock them if you haven't put hands on them, man. Cause they're the Ferrari of kettlebells as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm excited to have more available.
Just so everybody knows, like, nobody paid me to say any of that, right? Like, this is not a paid promotion. I'm an affiliate and have been with Pro Kettlebell since they started, but it's because I believe in their product. I've known Nikolai and Amber for a while, and it's just because they make a quality product and because they're perfectionists. It shows in the product that you guys put out there. So what's next for Pro Kettlebell? You've already told me a lot about what you guys are doing. You got massive expansion plans going. Obviously getting supply chain up to meet that increased demand and those expansion plans. Any cool new products that are coming out? The plate chips, I got to tell you, I know I've put my stamp out there on those. Like, those are one of the coolest innovations as well. Like, the smaller size was one, and then the magnetic plates that go inside the bell so it doesn't throw off your center of gravity is another one. Huge up level for people that want to compete and be able to incrementally increase their load. But anything else that's coming down the pipe?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't even talk about it yet, but why not? So besides the factory, we've been asked about an adjustable forever. I have some preliminary CADs on that, and I'm going to have a prototype made up here fairly shortly. And so we'd be looking at the adjustable kettlebell, that will be big. We also haven't, it's not, maybe not as exciting as the adjustable, but our new coating that we're working on for our kettlebell.
You've got like a matte black coating. What is it? Tell us more about that.
So it's a polyethylene, and the other coating that we use is polyurethane. Polyurethane is very durable and it looks really nice. You kind of get a good glossy finish. We chose that because it was the most durable product that we could find. And then our finisher, he showed us a sample of this coating. Is called polyethylene. I've never heard that term before, but apparently it's fairly common in certain industries. it kind of has a matte finish. It's black, but it also comes in colors. You made a kilo sample, and I traveled with it in the back of my pickup truck with a bunch of other kettlebells. I drove down to California from Washington and then back up to Washington again. So, a couple thousand miles. All the other kettlebells in the back of my truck, the polyurethane got pretty beat up
Picked up and yeah.
from all the
It's
vibration.
durable, but all that smacking, it chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I pulled out the polyethylene kettlebell and it looked like nothing happened to it. And not only, just the matte black looked really sick. I was like, we both agreed it looked awesome, but the fact that it's so durable. Now the process to apply it is a bit different. You need to actually heat the kettlebell, preheat it, and then you either spray it or you dip it in a fluidized powder bed. And then you have to reheat it to like 500. And that gets everything to basically melt and anneal and adhere to the kettlebell. But it looks fantastic, much abuse. It can, of course, if you're taking two metal things, you're slamming them together in long cycle for long periods of time, it will eventually wear off. But I think it's going to be way, way better than everything else that's on the market. And then just to spice it up a little bit, because we'd like these to be in hotels and fancy gyms, we're going to do a gold inlay in the K and all the lettering. And
now that has a green, like it looks like it has a green tint to it. Is that just me, or is that
it's the lighting in our gym?
Oh, okay.
We've got these LED lights that kind of have that. But
I was hoping that was a 24, and I was like, oh, that's like a Batman 24 kg. Like that's,
well, it's kind of a throwback to our old Seattle Kettlebell Club colors, because we were black and gold back in the day. And the black and gold on these kettlebells is pretty cool. So we're excited about that. We think that those will be just really good for gym and
how's the chalk adherence on that polyethylene? Does chalk hold on that, or is it just on the bell body and you leave the handle raw, or both?
It does have texture to it, and I'm assuming that'll be good. I only have like 3 prototypes. We haven't taken pictures of them yet. Do you want to try it really quick?
Yeah, we should try it.
She's gonna grab a fresh block of chalk and we'll just do it right on the thing.
Love it. Live. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do a live chalk test here. I love this.
Can't picture our chalk here. We got our iron chalk there.
Okay. New iron chalk.
New iron chalk.
Because that one is really great.
I need somewhere to set this.
Here, I'll take it.
Just break the table.
Here.
Just don't set it on the laptop.
Yeah.
All right.
Over. Hold it for it.
I think it'll take chalk. I don't know 100% yet, but
we have our Vanna White holding the.
Yeah, I'll pick it up when it's time. It is a
20, so I don't expect you to be able to just like hold it with one hand. And
I know we don't have it right now because we sent it out to basically texture color match. All right, here goes for nice clean close.
Okay.
Sure, you don't want to do it?
Here. Yeah, I got this.
Who uses more chalk?
I do.
Yeah,
100%. All right, here we go. Just like a. Yeah. It holds on great.
It's a good coat. Here.
Love it.
Yeah.
I barely even.
Yeah, that all stayed. You didn't hardly lose any chalk there.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Set it now.
Yeah.
Let's do it really quickly.
Oh, it's holding well.
All right, so that took about 14 seconds, and we've got the first layer on for people that that aren't sweaty Yetis. That's probably enough. For people that are sweaty Yetis, they might need to give it 30 seconds or a minute of applying a few layers on. But it looks like it takes it pretty well. That's awesome.
I think it'll be great. Honestly, that's not going to take the place of the raw handles. We'll always have our raw handles. So for competitors, they can still use the raw handles, I think that'll always be the best for holding chalk. But for gym use, hotels and whatnot,
having it stay, looking. Some of us care more about looks. To not have to sand off any rust off your handles in your pretty gym. This might be, but I think we'll test it. Obviously we'll test them out to see how it feels in a nice long set.
I guess this is sort of like the opposite of having to sit in the wet spot.
Now you sit in the chalk.
in the chalk. Anyway, that's exciting. So we're very excited about that. So
Yeah,
we'll have both. We'll have that coating with bare handle and then also the solid.
And I know it's in prototype and you guys are developing it. So if you don't have this answer, totally fine. But do you have a timeline on when you're targeting it for production and release, or is that still TBD as you go through R&D on it?
We'll have some small batches that'll come out as we're getting her ready, but probably full scale September.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But we are sampling them now. So we'll be selling we'll have the samples.
We're selling off the samples to move it, and they're good. I think readily available in the full sets by September, October.
Oh, fantastic. That's awesome. And how long will it be until the new foundry is up and running?
Well, we're shooting for moving and being there in August, realistically, probably September. And this will be small, like baby steps.
Yeah.
So,
and where's it going to be located?
outside of Austin.
Are you guys relocating down to Texas, or are you staying in Seattle?
Yeah. And so the reason for that is that, I mean, I'd love to be able to do it here in Washington State, but the energy costs and regulations are just, they really don't want a lot of new foundries opening up, especially here in Washington State. Even though it's actually a pretty clean industry, our furnace will be induction, which is electric. So it is energy hungry, but not as much as AI. So like, not like fumes and stuff. It's dangerous. The only thing about it is it's dangerous dealing with metal. It's like 2,500 degrees and heavy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Texas produces more clean energy than any other state in the union. A lot of people don't know that. They associate it with oil and gas, which is also true, but they're also the largest producer of clean energy in the country. So most people don't know that.
They've got tons of solar and wind farms and all sorts of stuff every time I go down there. So,
well, because the unit economics on it just makes sense down there, and they've not regulated it nearly as much as some other states have. So
we visited Austin, and I just think it seems like a great place to raise a family and also a great place to host a killer kettlebell competition. It is one of the fittest cities I've been to. Like, it just seems like
barbecue and bells. I love it.
So it would be a great place to have our foundry and then take our kettlebells, the gyms around Austin, host competitions. And also, we're going to try to make this happen. Have people come and visit our foundry and see what it's like to actually take scrap iron, recycled scrap iron, melt it down, make a mold, pour a casting, shake it out, see that raw casting, grind off the parting lines and the gating from basically rusty scrap iron into new iron Pro Kettlebells, right?
What you did there. I see what you did there. Love it.
And it doesn't stop at kettlebells because you can make anything.
That's
you can make dumbbells, you can make skillets, whatever. So it definitely feeds the artistic side too.
Yeah. Well, and there's all sorts of raw material that needs to be repurposed too, right? So like, it's a great way of reusing resources that can be repurposed and turned into new things. So that's awesome. I love that.
You can recycle it almost infinitely. And each time you recycle iron, it becomes more refined and better than before.
Oh, really?
So
I didn't know that.
One of the few products, when you melt it down and pull out the slag, it actually becomes more pure than it was before. So it's kind of as long as you're doing it right, and induction's a very clean way to do it. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I've been watching videos about and reading as much as I can about metal casting and mold making and that sort of thing.
Wow. That sounds really cool. Congrats on the new foundry and the move for the family. That sounds like an exciting adventure for you and the kids. Amber, I got to give you a chance I know we're up against time, but I got to give you a chance. You just wrote a children's book too. Like, I know this is not kettlebell related at all, but like, you just published a children's book, not that long ago, right?
Well, we did our 365 kettlebell exercise library. So we published the exercise library book. And once I got that up on Amazon, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been working on this kid's book for this poem that I wrote. There's not a spot where God is not, that I wrote on a flight when we were going to Arizona getting married. So I wrote the poem in 2012. And I've been sitting on it this whole time. And when I realized how, like, okay, I just published this thing for the business, but there's this thing like that's been in my heart for, 13 years that I suddenly saw how I needed to get that out. So I published that. I spent like 2 weeks up all night long in the middle of the night.
Noticing a trend here. You don't sleep a lot.
I did, but then I hit the wall, and then he had to pull me off and give me a coffee. Like I had to do 9 days without coffee because I
convinced her to not have any coffee for, what was it, 9 days?
Yeah.
And she slept for like a week.
Wow.
Like not straight, but like
Yeah.
for most of like mini naps during the day, like a couple hour long naps. And we both drink coffee. So I mean, I'm not anti-coffee, but it's crazy how pretty much like a large population of people is caffeinated, and they are like utilizing that to get through their days and like basically robbing for tomorrow for today. And it actually makes a huge difference on your recovery if you can cut it out for at least a detox period, because your sleep is so much deeper and more productive when you're not super caffeinated. And honestly, like when you're caffeinated, you're not your true self, right? It's like low grade meth. You know what I mean? And this comes from someone who loves coffee. I noticed that we were both drinking a lot of coffee. I'm like, I gotta take a break, and then convince her to take a break. And we both, like, I did it before her. I slept like just nonstop. But then when I finally caught up, I felt just way calmer. My elbow pain had gone away, which has kind of been nagging me, tendonitis. And I don't know. I recommend people try to give it a shot. See what it feels like to go a week without coffee and see how you feel at the end of the week.
I would recommend not cold turkey, though. That seems very cruel. I would titrate down, like switch to black tea and then switch to green tea. But
that's the logical way to do it, but we don't do that. We are all
You're the kind of people
nothing.
that say, I'm going to make my own kettlebell, and it's going to take me 17,000 prototypes and 5 CAD designers and 6 foundries.
And then we're going to do it ourselves.
We tend to go at things hard, and I respect and appreciate that about you both. Well, I want to thank you both so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. And like, it really truly is an American success story. I wish you guys all the best in the continued success. I appreciate you pouring your heart and soul into everything that you put out and everything that you do for the community. I truly appreciate it. You guys are a pillar of the kettlebell sport community, and it's really cool to see something that you obviously poured so much of yourselves into and have just been working at so hard for so long, to see it taking off and growing. I hope it just continues on that trajectory for you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your platform. Thank you for giving a voice to our story and for everything that you do. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. We'll talk soon.